be liberated from the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachments and aversions. Manam kadang yampe samchen tamche dewadang, dewe girdang den par jurshi. Dunya dang dunya gi udang drawar jurshi. Dunya mepe dewadang mitrar war jurshi. Nyering chakdang yidang draway tang yomla nepar jurshi.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we have a small but august group here. Thank you all very much for coming, and we're continuing our examination of the King of Aspiration prayers. So we skipped a week last week. We weren't here, so just to refresh everybody's mind, that this is a prayer that is called the King of Aspiration prayers because of all the aspirations that Manjushri, the Bodhisattva Manjushri, could find. 100 teachers he went to and 100 aspiration prayers he gathered and so on. And finally he met the great Bodhisattva Samantabhadra, and Samantabhadra offered him this prayer, the King of Aspiration prayers, for good actions, how we should be a bodhisattva, how we should attain enlightenment, how we should lead an enlightened life. So it's very important. So last time we talked about, what is Buddha? Because Buddha is a theme, of course, that runs through this. And then the second major theme that would run through this is, what is bodhisattva? So does anybody have anything that you'd like to add as to how you would discuss what a bodhisattva is, what it is to be a bodhisattva? Okay, well then I'll offer a couple things that I put together just to spark some conversation here. And a bodhisattva, and this goes to the conversation that I think we were just having before we started, that the bodhisattva observes the speech and actions of all beings, is present in the now, and is not has not completely transcended, and is very much involved in the phenomenal nature in different degrees, depending on what level bodhisattva they are, but they are observing the speech and action of all sentient beings. And they're looking at the causes, of the happiness and the suffering that they are observing. Why are people happy? Why are people upset? What are the reasons for this? And they're doing this for the benefit of others, but in the process, they are honing their own edge to be able to see where their attachments and their aversions are, et cetera, so that they can purify. So the bodhisattva is very much a work in progress to become a Buddha. And the lens in which the bodhisattva operates, the lens that the bodhisattva is looking through to be able to see all these myriad things that are happening, is the lens of bodhicitta, looking at what is loving kindness, what is compassion, what is joy, what is equanimity, and fine-tuning what they might be thinking, what they might be engaging in, what their mind process might be, and being an influence in the life of others with a great deal of skill, great deal of skillful means, which is part of the compassion, which is part of the wisdom, and so on. So they're offering support and assistance. The bodhisattva can enjoy the experiences of samsara and nirvana but they're learning, they're developing ways not to be bound by it. To have this life is a gift. Despite all the terrible things that we are part of, that we see and everything, it's still a gift for us. And to be able to navigate through the happiness and the suffering without becoming attached to it, without being bound by it, either bound by it through our desire, or bound by it through our aversions or our jealousies or our ignorance and so on. So to sum it up, bodhisattvas are perfected humans, or on the path to perfection, whose extraordinary body, speech, and mind now become ordinary. So let me say that again. Bodhisattvas are human beings who are on the path to perfection. And as they are developing, cultivating this perfection, they find that their ordinary, or what they would normally call to be an extraordinary mind, now of enlightenment, of the bodhisattva, of bodhicitta, now becomes ordinary to them. And that all the craziness, all the confusion becomes extraordinary. So that we see that all nature is Buddha, is what we are opening ourselves up to, and being able to see Buddha in everything that we do. So those are a few thoughts I put together. So Gary, what do you think about that?
Well, I think that, I agree with what you said. What I've thought of, tried to be mindful of in my daily conduct, and with varying degrees of success, is to remember not to be judgmental of others. Even if I may not approve of what they're saying and doing, and even if I think they're profoundly wrong in their characterization of anything. And I try to listen and not get involved in unpleasant exchanges which characterize something that they're saying or doing, but instead maybe offering suggestions like, wouldn't it be work better if we did this? And I often try to say, avoid the word you. I've been very good in my life at saying, you should not do this and you should do that. And that is profoundly unsuccessful. People seem to listen more effectively when you're talking about what we should do. Even if it's them that's doing it and you're not having anything to do with it, and how we should think and how we should look at people, and what would be kind and what would be more effective and what would be less destructive. All that array of things that we want. Bodhisattva, I think, wants peace and kindness in the world. And that's what I try to remind myself to be guided by. And I think that bodhisattvas today are not walking quietly along the peaceful paths of India and Tibet. Not that they were always peaceful, they certainly weren't. But there's always something invading your peace. And you've got to find a way to be at peace and not let that and be reactive to that and people that you're talking to. Even if it's someone that normally you wouldn't like at all, because who they are or what they do. But using the word we.
Very good.
It would be better if we looked at it this way or if we did that.
Very good. Thank you. Thomas, how about you? What would you have to say? How would you think of bodhisattva? What do you recognize yourself as a bodhisattva or as a potential bodhisattva? And what does that mean to you? Your microphone is muted, Thomas.
From what I've heard and am in agreement with, is that there's two levels of bodhisattva. There's aspirational bodhisattva, and there's the actual bodhisattva. So I'm not at the actual level. So I'm in that aspirational stage. And I think that something really potent for me is how you close the evenings saying, I'm paraphrasing here, my body, speech, and mind reflect that of the enlightened ones. So just like if you're at sea, you can navigate by the stars, you have a pole star, you have a guiding guidepost. Life is too complicated to have a lot of rules to abide by. But those three, call them concepts or aspirations, they seem to me to be very effective. So when I'm called upon to make a comment to someone else, I don't just immediately have a thought and then edit my thought, but I've tried to mold my activity so that something virtuous comes out. Today I got an email about Dharma practice, and I didn't agree with all the points, and I wrote a return email, but I did not send it. I parked it. And I've gone back to that a couple of times. I may not even reply to it at all. Aspirational bodhisattva, an
Okay.
aspiring bodhisattva.
Well, that's good. Thank you very much. Yes. So, Rebecca, good evening to you. Would you mind commenting, after, these many weeks that we've been doing this together and everything, what is your notion of bodhisattva?
25 years ago or more, for reasons that I cannot explain, I read a book called The Way of the Bodhisattva, and it really resonated with me. And I have, my husband will tell you, I have a lot of books, but I have one shelf that is, what I kind of consider to be sacred books, like books that really, really mean something to me. That's the shelf you take if the house is on fire, right? And that book is on that shelf. And what I took from the concept then has influenced my life a lot. And it's basically the idea that somebody has to be the one who says, I'm going to make sure everybody gets out of the plane. I'm going to make sure that everybody gets out of the house if there's a fire. I'm going to make sure that everybody gets out of samsara. And I'm going to hold back so that I can care for people who aren't ready to do it themselves yet. And now, not on a spiritual level, but I certainly know that at work and in my family, that's a role that I naturally take. Like, senior leader in our team, the guy who has the strategy for what we're supposed to be doing, left the company 2 weeks ago. And everyone's walking around right now going, I don't know what to do. And so I find myself just standing in the middle of the room going, all right, hold on. We need to get over there. You do, okay, come on, we're all going to get there. It's the we thing, right, Gary? And I see it as kind of like that. you know, I'm going to take the hit. I'm going to work really hard for a little while until we get this straightened out. And I'm going to risk being the one who is at risk if we don't succeed. I'm going to go out of the door last.
Is there a notion that you have of that there's a path to what we might call perfection or something like that by, you know, the bodhisattva path? Is that something that you think about? That's not
I
an
don't
issue.
know.
That's not an issue.
No, I mean, I think it's just a commitment to stay back and make sure everyone is taken care of.
So just for its own sake.
Yes,
Okay.
for the benefit of all sentient beings, right?
Okay. Yeah. Very good. Thank you. Alex, I see that you're with us tonight for the first time in a while. And would you like to comment on bodhisattva, you know, what it means to you and please?
Yes, thank you for bringing me into conversation. I'm happy to be today,
Okay.
staying home today. Yeah, that's interesting question. I myself see bodhisattva as sort of like Buddha's helpers. Like, you know, Buddhas are very few and rare in many lifetimes, and but somebody gotta facilitate the process, so to speak, and in the process also accelerate their own advancement on the path. So I see the bodhisattva path is kind of like accelerated track for those who want to take on it, and at the same time, you know, help others and feel great about it. And I pleasantly to myself, you know, I think had similar ideas on like what is the role of bodhicitta in that process, as you just mentioned. And also with other students here who said that we all not becoming bodhisattva immediately, or, you know, at some instant, it's a long process to learn. And I myself find sometimes frustrating that even if you try to be impersonal and, you know, gentle, it still causes sometimes a lot of misunderstanding and kind of and it's a lot of long process to learn, you know, how to be very gentle but persuasive, very humble, but, you know, speak the truth and not like at least point to the truth. Yeah, so there is a lot of challenges there.
Well, good. Very good. Thank you very much. Ed, how about you? Would you comment on what bodhisattva means to you?
I don't know that I'm equipped to do that yet.
Okay.
I'm listening.
Do you know what bodhisattva means? I mean, what it translates to in English?
Not literally, no.
Okay. Well, Buddhi, I mean, it's a Sanskrit word. It's actually 3 words together. Buddhi means enlightenment.
Right.
And Sat is a being. And Ava is a holy, means holy being. So it's a sattva. So it's an enlightened holy being is what bodhisattva literally translates to. So, and of course, there's many different degrees.
But what you've described is a bodhisattva as one aspiring to enlightenment.
Correct.
Not on the journey, but not there yet.
Well, maybe aspiring and on the journey. You know, you have to be aspiring to stay on the journey, don't you?
Right. No, I understand that. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you recognize within yourself any any quality of being a bodhisattva? You know, that there's something there, I'm trying to get to it. And that's why I'm here trying to understand, because there's something within myself that is there for me to understand. Do you have that? Does that
It-
appear to you in any way?
I do have that feeling that I'm on a journey, feeling that I'm reaching for something, not able to define very well, except in almost meaninglessly broad terms,
Mhm.
what that is. I mean, I'm still trying to define what
Okay.
that is.
Has, the past number of weeks, we've been reading this King of Prayers, the aspiration for good actions.
Mhm.
So in this, have you found any kind of direction or here's how to do it? Here's what it is. These are the good actions. These are even why we do the good actions, and here are how we do the good actions, and that are all written down in these passages here. There's 63 verses here, and they contain this what, why, and how for good actions. Have you looked at it in those terms?
Tried to. No, I missed the session before last week, so I haven't really engaged it since, so I'm a little bit removed, but I'm struck by, I remember what Tom said about this being, he'll have to clean up the language, but it's just all there. Everything you need is there. I mean, it just really spoke to him. But he also said that he had to do multiple readings. I think you said, Tom, before that was true. It's not true for me yet. I need to do more readings.
Okay. What do you think, and I'm not trying to pick on you, but what do you think of what it takes to make the commitment to want to engage, and at different levels, and you see that there's, we have to engage, we have to commit again to engage further and further. What do you think of that? How does that affect you?
I think I've been reluctant to engage. I let my intellect get in the way of engagement. I don't mean that I have a superior intellect, but I'm analytical to a fault. And that impedes my engagement.
So to engage in the activity of the prayer, takes away some of that intellectualization that you're to me, it implies that you're going beyond the intellectualization.
I'm wanting to.
What holds you back?
I don't know exactly. Tendency to be too analytical. Tendency to not plunge, to not get in the flow.
Well, I understand that, but what's the cause?
I don't know.
What causes that? Is it the ego? The ego doesn't want to give it up,
Perhaps. I don't know what causes that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for being honest about your answers and thoughtful about them. So, Grant, I presume you're there. Can you comment on what a bodhisattva means to you? Do you recognize a bodhisattva potential within you? Is it an aspiration? Are you there? Okay, well then maybe we should move Zara. Can you answer that question? You
I would
listening?
love, yes, I'm listening, Lance.
Okay, good.
I'm always listening.
Okay.
Yes, I love the question and I love the opportunity to engage with the question. To me, it means that I have an opportunity to, I guess, connect with others and help lift others up, to ease their suffering, to take actions with good intention, to create I don't know, to create positivity, positivity and goodwill towards for people. And I see it, I get excited by it. I don't think I get really excited at every interaction I have. I actually really get pumped up is an opportunity for something positive to happen. And I actually mean that with complete sincerity. Like I feel like I'm jumping through the virtual here. Like if I think about like a smile, holding a door, I actually, when I walk through places, I like think like that. Like I'm like thinking like, if I, can I say something nice to someone, you know, like, oh, hey, you look really nice today. I like love that. I think about those things just sort of fluently, like, because I know like I'm excited, like maybe that'll make that person smile and feel a little bit better. And I think about those, but it's because I want them to feel good. I want people to feel good just because, not because I'd expect an outcome. And those are things that I recognize as opportunities. I get really excited about that, about every interaction. Every single interaction matters to me as an
So
opportunity.
joy is really important to you.
The what?
Joy. You really recognize joy. You really enjoy joy.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Is that okay?
Of course.
Oh,
No,
okay.
isn't that part of bodhicitta? Isn't that one of the
Yeah.
4 vast qualities of bodhicitta? Joy.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm excited. I mean, like there's a lot of people who are like I work with that like the social justice issues, that's really easy to go down a very negative rabbit hole or black hole. And I actually don't think about it like that. I'm like, these are just opportunities to keep doing better. So I just try to like constantly find these opportunities, even with myself, where I'm like trying to find that compassion for myself, like where I'm like, oh, you didn't do such a good job in that interaction over a very contentious professional issue. How could you be kind to yourself right now and just say, it's okay, Zara, tomorrow you'll do a little bit better in that interaction.
Do you ever think in terms of bodhisattva? Does that ever, or bodhicitta, do those terms ever enter your mind during the course of the day?
Absolutely. They've begun to in the last 2 months where I see, yes, absolutely. And Adrian, who I've spoke with offline because he has the same type of professional training, I spoke with him privately for like an hour one day to help translate some terms from like the spiritual definition to like kind of a dual definition for my brain, kind of like what Ed was talking about, the intellectualization of some of these components. And he told me something very helpful that kind of was for me very kind of connected some dots and touch points. He goes, when you get up, he goes, what I would say is you want like the way you think about your to-do list for your job, or you got to go work out, you got to go pay bills. He goes, what I want to encourage you is your to-do list becomes, I want to think about the 4 thoughts that turn my mind to the Dharma. Like that is the first thought you have. And when he said it that way, he used different terms that were part of our professional language about cueing. And actually, when he said that, like a light bulb went off in that conversation he had with me, where he donated his time in that conversation to help me. And now I just do it. Like I literally like turn your mind to the 4 thoughts, and like that's how I start my day now. Like I don't think about bills. Like that's my first thought. Literally, as I'm waking up, my eyes are opening. That's where my mind goes. So now I'm starting to think about that more fluently, naturally, and organically, which feels good. It feels good, Lance.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
And let me just add, that many of the books that we have, the textbooks, I don't know, they have great glossaries in them. So, and even online, you can Google, many of these terms, and Google has just gotten really, really great at being able to define a lot of things. So I'm most happy, it sounds really good, that you're engaging with other Sangha members, because that's the function of the Sangha, is to help each other and support of each other and so on. So that's a great thing too. So thank you. That's very good. So Soho, I saw that you have come to join us tonight. Would you like to comment on Bodhisattva, what that means to you? Have you had any thoughts about Bodhisattva?
Um, I'm not sure if I understand totally, but I think it's someone have a very kind heart. Someone that, I don't know, someone that able to think about others from their point of view. And I don't think I ever will reach that stage now, because often I can see myself have a lot of issue for myself. So I think for me right now is to slowly to eliminate some of the things that in myself that I don't think is good, and it will kind of like hinder the way I want to go to further to Buddhism. So to me, it's more like I need time to discover myself and all the issue I have, like anger, jealousy. And I heard from somebody that told me once you learn how to let go a lot of stuff like your own ego, your jealousy, all this, and that's when the time the wisdom will come to you. So I really truly believe that, but I feel I'm still working on it. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of things to learn.
Well, that's good. Do you have a sense that there is a bodhisattva within you, that you have that, those qualities are within you, although you may need some work to be able to bring them out, but you do have that bodhisattva quality within you. Do you think that?
I think I have a little bit, because sometimes I'm able to see things a little bit clearer than others. But as I say, sometimes I feel like humans are so weak. Sometimes you can get jealousy or something, and then you just think about your own personal need, and then you forgot to practice what you need. You know what I mean?
Okay, that's really good. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Well, Tom, how about you? Would you comment on what bodhisattva means to you, and do you feel that bodhisattva presence within yourself, and how do you relate to that?
I don't even know if I'm really even qualified to even answer this question. I mean, it's everybody here is just, man, it's wonderful, wonderful answers, Well, what I think about a bodhisattva is as a completely selfless being. Selfless meaning their actions, their thoughts, their speech is always mindful and always to help others, in any way, in any possible way, it can be in the most peaceful way or even the most wrathful way, depending upon what medicine we really need at that time. Because, it's not a cure-all for, one pill is not going to cure everyone from everything. So, but and I can catch glimpses of myself, aspiring to do this. But am I anywhere near? No, I'm nowhere near being a bodhisattva, or, I'm not going to lie to myself or kid myself, because that's being completely egoless, selfless, and practicing something that's a sheer benefit for other beings, and that's a heart that's so vast that I can even comprehend. Maybe one day.
Well, thank you. And I'll just point out to everybody that humility, being humble, is one of the qualities of a bodhisattva, to one who is on the path, whether it's aspirational or it's being actualized. Humility is a huge part of that. So thank you, Tom. All right. So now we shall engage. Does anybody have anything else that you want to add to this conversation right now?
Yes.
Yes,
Maybe about a month ago, you sent an email. It was about the group in over by Tampa, Florida, and Kempo was giving the refuge vow and the bodhisattva vow.
Drupan,
So right,
Drupan
So-
Timi Ningpo.
yeah. So I went to that location and went through that, and then they posted some information. And one bit of information is, and here I'm going to ask you a question. Every night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, a member of the Sangha recites the aspiration prayer. Then they recite the world prayer in about 6 lines of Tara. Takes about 20 to 25 minutes. On Tuesdays, the Kempo is there.
Drupan.
Yes. So if you think it's appropriate, I can post a link to that in the chat box.
That's perfectly fine. Go right ahead. Yes, that's a great thing. And yes, it was Drupan who was giving teachings on this, on the King of Prayers. And so then he requested that everybody who participated to recite this every day. So for myself, I recited first thing in the morning. I recited about 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, because in the nighttime, I'm usually busy with these Zoom things. So, yes, and I do it every day. And I know some other people do it every day. And it has helped me tremendously. It is really very inspirational and has brought clarity to my practice and to my mindfulness, and is very, very, very worthwhile. Very, very good. So yeah, so if you'll post that and people can see the link and join Drupan, that would be wonderful. If anybody wants to join me in the morning, you're welcome to do that too. So thank you very much, Thomas. I'm glad that you did that.
Lance, what time do you do that in the morning?
I do it, well, I would do it regularly. I would promise to do it at 8 o'clock if people want to do it. But otherwise, I'm not bound by a time. So sometimes it's 7:30, sometimes it's 8:30. But if you want to join me and you tell me what time you want to do it, I'll be there.
You're so kind. Thank you.
But in the meantime, you can do it by yourself. You know, you don't need to have somebody recite it for you. You need to recite it for yourself. That's the important thing. And to do it out loud. That's to do it out loud. And if you can keep a record of your accumulations, because Drupan on his website, Zhongnur Zhangzhubling, has a counter, so that he's requested that people recite this every day for a year. And so we've been posting our accumulations on that. So it would be, it's good to have a goal like that. It develops good method skills. Okay.
So Lance, I am here.
Oh,
I just
okay.
I couldn't figure out how to unmute my
Oh,
microphone.
okay.
Um,
Did you have a comment that you wanted to talk about with Bodhisattva? Did you hear what we were talking about?
no, I came in late, but you're asking about what do I think about bodhisattvas and the bodhisattva vow.
Well, specifically, I was asking, you know, do you recognize you have a sense of bodhisattva within you? And what does that mean to you? That was the main thing that I was really trying to get to.
And, you know, yeah, this is a very difficult question for me that I'm still trying to wrap my head around. But, you know, I'm always been a very humanistic person and very socially aware. And, you know, those types of values have really never had any association with the Buddhism. Even today, it's like, you know, the focus for me on the Buddhism is the meditation, the no self, the Bodhisattva vow it's incredibly beautiful, and it's something that I can see how I could say I was going to aspire to, because there's it's this incredibly higher ethical type of statement, but yeah, I'm still pondering it. That to me there's this, I don't know. I just see it as this issue between meditation, trying to realize this no self Buddha nature, and then you've got the Bodhisattva on the other side, and maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm being selfish, but that's sort of where I'm at. It's like to actually awaken and do the Bodhisattva vow. It's in this modern time. Be a good person. I'll try to,
So do you see them as being connected? That maybe, at the very least, they run parallel with each other, or maybe one leads to the other?
probably, but not for me. I've sort of compartmentalized it. The one thing I just see it as this, the same thing in like the Humanist Manifesto, or to have empathy for all, mankind, and the golden rule and all those things, and I'm trying to be as good a person as I can be, and helping others. And for some reason, I've compartmentalized the Buddhism out of that, and but once again, the focus has been on the meditation, and so yeah, I need to think about this more.
So do you see that there's a system that, we're trying to follow, we're talking about? And I know sometimes we kind of, switch gears a little bit, but basically what we're following is the book called the Jewel Ornamental Liberation. And that is the main text. The stages of liberation, the stages of the path, is what we are following. And that delineates, all these different steps from the very, very, very beginning, all the way up through all the Bodhisattva, and including to the Buddha level, and what the activities of the Buddha are. So, so I don't, do you have that book? Have you heard of that book?
Yes, definitely. I have that book.
Well, I mean, that is the guidebook. That is the instruction manual that we follow. So, but there has to be a, number one, there has to be a belief at the very least that there is this system in place, and then some kind of a commitment to say, okay, I'm going to follow this and forget all the other stuff that I may have picked up along the way, at least for this time, to follow this system and see what benefits I have, because this is an organized system that has stood the test of time, and maybe that there's some value in that.
Okay, and I see that partly as Buddhism versus some particular sectarian part of Buddhism, and I'm not sure. I don't know. I distinguish that different than just Buddhism.
What is different than Buddhism? I don't understand that.
In terms of following that particular path, or
well, that is Buddhism. I'm not sure if I understand your question or your statement, but that is the essence of Buddhism.
it's, you know, a particular form of Buddhism.
Well, it is the
know,
Vajrayana. It is true.
Right. I mean, Zen's totally different, let's say, but regardless, you know, when you had a mature meditation practice, you know, it's some of those things are a little hard to go back to in terms of that system if you feel like your current system is working. And you know, Buddhism, there's all kinds of quotes where the Buddha said, talks about, you try these things and not having a particular, it's the solution that's more the, is more important than, a particular path to reach that solution. No, it's not the end justifies the means. It's the goal instead of the path, I think. It's not like there's just one path. I mean, how many different dharmas are there? How many,
Okay, well, if you're interested sometime, I would love to have a conversation with you, if you'd like to do that and talk about this. But I think right now we need to get back to this King of Prayers and what the functionality of this prayer is. So if you don't mind.
No, I don't mind.
Okay.
And I'm just trying to be truthful. I'm not.
All right, I appreciate that. That's very good.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. So does everybody have the text, and can everybody read tonight? I know, Thomas, you've chosen not to be able to read because you have your vision problem, and I respect that. And so, but Soho, are you able to read? And Alex, do you have a copy of this Action Buddy Cheetah prayer? Or excuse me, I should call it the King of Aspiration prayer. Do you have a copy of this, Alex?
Yeah, I think I downloaded it. I just need to find.
Well, I would like everybody to read a page. So I want to assign everybody a page. So you'll need to have it. If you don't have it, we'll just skip and somebody will read the page that you would be reading. Soho, how about you? Do you have your copy?
Yes, I have, but I'm not sure which one.
What?
Which page?
All right, I'm going to tell you.
Oh, okay.
All right, Zara, do you have yours?
Lance, I have the email you sent with the PDF. Is that accurate?
That's the one.
I got it.
So you can read that? So everybody has their copy? Okay. All right. So then we're going to read this together. I'll sign pages, and then afterwards, then we'll pick up where we left off in talking about the particular verses. So there are 63 verses. And at some time, you might want to just number each one of these verses for yourself, because there might be a time when we come back and say, well, verse 32 is what we're talking about here. So it'd be an easy way for us to reference here. So at some point when you're reciting this on your own, you're studying this at home, you might want to number these so you can refer to them. Okay. So if you don't mind, then what I'm going to say here is that on page number 1, if we'll start with Ed, if you will read page number 1, please. And then Tom, will you read page number 2? Gary, will you read page number 3? Alex, will you read page number 4? Then I will read page number 5. And then Grant, can you read page number 6? And Rebecca, can you read page number 7, please? And then Zara, page number 8. And Zoho, would you read page number 9 out loud for us all, please? So I think we got everybody. And okay. All right.
And You
Yes.
said we're not reading the blueprint, is that right?
Correct. Just read what we call the root text and not the blueprint.
Okay.
It's just the root text, yes. Okay, so we'll start with Ed, please, on page number 1. Read the title and then continue on.
King of Aspiration Prayers, Samahatra's Aspiration of Good Actions, the translator's homage to Manjeste the Youthful, the 7 preliminaries for purifying the mind. To all the Buddhas, the lions of the human race, in all directions of the universe, through past and present and future, to every single one of you, I bow in homage. Devotion fills my body, speech, and mind. Through the power of this prayer, aspiring to good action, all the victorious ones appear, vivid here before my mind. And I multiply my body as many times as atoms in the universe, each one bowing in prostration to all the Buddhas. In every atom preside as many Buddhas as there are atoms, and around them all of their bodhisattvas, heirs. And so I imagine them filling completely the entire space of reality, saluting them with an endless ocean of praise. With the sounds of an ocean of different melodies, I sing of the Buddha's noble qualities and praise all those who have gone to perfect bliss. To every Buddha, I make offerings of the loveliest flowers, of beautiful garlands, of music and perfumed ointments, the best of parasols, the brightest lamps, and the finest incense. To every Buddha, I make offerings, exquisite garments, and the most fragrant scents, powdered incense heaped as high as Mount Meru, arranged in perfect symmetry. Then the vast and unsurpassable offerings, inspired by my devotion to all the Buddhas, and moved by the power in my faith in good actions, I prostrate and offer to all you victorious ones.
Whatever negative acts I have committed, while driven by desire, hatred, and ignorance, with my body, my speech, and also my mind, before you I confess and purify each and every one. With a heart full of delight, I rejoice at all the merits of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, Pratyeka Buddhas, those in training, and the Arhats beyond training, and every living being throughout the entire universe. You who are like beacons of light shining through the worlds, who pass to the stages of enlightenment, to attain Buddhahood, freedom from all attachment. I exhort you, all of you protectors, turn the unsurpassable wheel of Dharma. Joining my palms together, I pray to you who intend to pass into nirvana. Remain for eons as many as atoms in this world, and bring well-being and happiness to all living beings. What little virtue I have gathered through my homage, through offering, confessions, and rejoicing, through exhortations and prayers, all of it, I dedicate to the enlightenment of all beings. Let offerings be made to Buddhas of the past and all who now dwell throughout the 10 directions of this universe. Let all who are yet to come swiftly fulfill their wishes and attain the stages of enlightenment and Buddhahood. Let as many worlds as there are in all the 10 directions transform into realms that are vast and utterly pure. Fill the Buddhas who have sat before the mighty Bodhi tree. Around them, all their bodhisattvas, sons and daughters. Let as many sentient beings as there are in all the 10 directions live always and forever in happiness and health. Let all beings meet the Dharma that benefits them best, and so may all the hopes for be fulfilled.
As I practice the training for enlightenment, may I recall all my previous births, and in successive lives, through death and rebirth, May I always renounce the worldly life. Training in the footsteps of all the victorious Buddhas, may I bring good actions to perfection, and my moral conduct be taintless and pure, never lapsing, and always free from fault. In the language of the gods, Nagas and Yaksas, in the language of demons and of humans too, and however many kinds of speech there may be, I shall proclaim the Dharma in the language of all. Taming my mind and striving in the paramitas, I will never forget the bodhicitta. May all my harmful actions and the obscurations they cause be completely purified, every single one. May I be freed from karma, harmful emotions, and the work of negativity, and act for all beings in the world, just like the lotus flower to which mud and water cannot cling, or sun and moon that course unhindered through the sky. Throughout the reach and range of the entire universe, I shall pacify completely the suffering of all the lower realms. I shall lead all beings to happiness and work for the ultimate benefit of each and every one. I shall bring enlightened action to perfection, serve beings as to suit their needs, teach them to accomplish good actions, and to continue this throughout all the eons to come. May I always meet and be accompanied by those whose actions accord with mine, and in body, speech, and mind as well, may our actions and aspirations always be one.
I'm sorry, I have to skip here. Or I can read if somebody can share the page.
I can't do that. I'll read right now then. So we're on page 4.
I can continue to read, Brent Lance, if you want.
All right, sure, go ahead.
May I always meet spiritual friends who long to be of true help to me and who teach me the good actions. Never will I disappoint them. May I always behold the Buddhas here before my eyes, and around them all their bodhisattva sons and daughters, without ever tiring, throughout all the eons to come. May the offerings I make them be endless and vast. May I maintain the sacred teachings of the Buddhas and cause enlightened action to appear. May I train to perfection in good actions and practice these in every age to come. As I wander through all states of samsaric existence, may I gather inexhaustible merit and wisdom, and so become an inexhaustible treasury of noble qualities, skill and discernment, samadhi and liberation. In a single atom, may I see as many pure realms as atoms in the universe, and in each realm, Buddhas beyond all imagining, encircled by all their bodhisattva heirs. Along with them, may I perform the actions of enlightenment. And so in each direction, everywhere, even on the tip of a hair, may I see an ocean of Buddhas, all to come in past, present, and future, in an ocean of pure realms, and throughout an ocean of eons. May I enter into enlightened action in each and every one. Each single word of a Buddhist speech that voiced with its ocean of qualities bears all the purity of the speech of all the Buddhas. Sounds that harmonize with the minds of all living beings. May I always be engaged with the speech of the Buddhas.
With all the power of my mind, may I hear and realize the inexhaustible melody of the teachings spoken by all the Buddhas of past, present, and future as they turn the wheels of Dharma. Just as the wisdom of the Buddhas penetrates all future eons, so may I too know them instantly. And in each fraction of an instant, may I know all that will ever be in past, present, and future. In an instant, may I behold all those who are the lions of the human race, the Buddhas of past, present, and future. May I always be engaged in the Buddha's way of life and action, through the power of liberation, where all is realized as like an illusion. On a single atom, may I actually bring about the entire array of pure realms of past, present, and future, and then enter into those pure Buddha realms in each atom and in each and every direction. When those who illuminate the world still to come gradually attain Buddhahood, turn the wheel of Dharma, and demonstrate the final profound peace of nirvana, may I always be in their presence. Through the power of swift miracles, the power of the vehicle like a doorway, the power of conduct that possesses all virtuous qualities, the power of loving kindness, all pervasive, the power of merit that is totally virtuous, the power of wisdom free from attachment, and the power of knowledge, skillful means in samadhi, may I perfectly accomplish the power of enlightenment.
May I purify the power of karma, destroy the power of harmful emotions, render negativity utterly powerless, and perfect the power of good actions. I shall purify oceans of realms, liberate oceans of sentient beings, understand oceans of Dharma, realize oceans of wisdom, perfect oceans of actions, fulfill oceans of aspirations, serve oceans of Buddhas, and perform these without ever growing weary through oceans of eons. All the Buddhas throughout the whole of time attain enlightenment through good actions, and their prayers and aspirations for enlightened action. May I fulfill them all completely. The eldest of the sons of all the Buddhas is called Samattabhra, all good, so that I may act with a skill like his. I dedicate fully all these merits to purify my body, my speech, and my mind as well, to purify my actions in all realms. May I be the equal of Samattabhra in his skill and good dedication. In order to perform the full virtue of good actions, I shall act according to Manjusri's prayer of aspiration. And without growing weary in all the eons to come, I shall perfectly fulfill every one of his aims.
Let my bodhisattva acts be beyond measure. Let my enlightened qualities be measureless too. Keeping to this immeasurable activity, may I accomplish all the miraculous powers of enlightenment. Sentient beings are as limitless as the boundless expanse of space. So shall my prayers of aspiration for them be as limitless as their karma and harmful emotions. Whoever hears this king of dedication prayers and yearns for supreme enlightenment, who even once arouses faith, will gain true merit greater still than by offering the victorious Buddhas infinite pure realms in every direction, all ornamented with jewels, or offering them all the highest joys of gods and humans for as many eons as there are atoms in those realms. Whosoever truly makes this aspiration to good action will never again be reborn in lower realms. They will be free from harmful companions and soon behold the Buddha of boundless light. They will acquire all kinds of benefits and live in happiness. Even in this present life, all will go well, and before long, they will become just like Samattabhra. All negative acts, even the 5 of immediate retribution, whatever they have committed in the grip of ignorance, will soon be completely purified if they recite this aspiration of good actions. They will possess perfect wisdom, beauty, and excellent signs, be born in a good family and with radiant appearance. Demons and heretics will never harm them, and all 3 worlds will honor them with offerings.
They will, They will quickly go beneath the Bodhi tree, and there they will sit to benefit all sentient beings. then awaken into enlightenment, turn the wheel of Dharma, and Tamara with all his hordes. The full result of keeping, teaching, or reading this prayer of aspirations of good actions is known to the Buddhas alone. Have no doubt, supreme enlightenment will be yours. Just as the Bodhisattva Manjushri attained omniscience and Samantabhadra too, all these merits now I dedicate to train and follow in their footsteps. As all the victorious Buddhas of the past, present, and future praise dedication as supreme, so now I dedicate all of these roots of virtue for all beings to perfect good actions. When it is time for me to die, let all that obscures me fade away, so I look at Amitabha there in person and go at once to his pure land of Sukhavati, and that pure land may I actualize every single one of all these aspirations. May I fulfill them each and every one, and bring help to beings for as long as the universe remains. Born there in a beautiful lotus flower in that excellent and joyous Buddha realm, may the Buddha Amitabha himself grant me the prophecy foretelling my enlightenment.
Soho?
Sorry, I mute. Having received the prophecy there with my brilliance of emancipation sent out through the power of my mind, may I bring enormous benefit to sentient beings in all the 10 directions. Through whatever small virtue I have gained by reciting this aspiration of God of good actions, may the virtuous wishes of all being, prayers and aspirations all be instantly accomplished. Through the true and boundless merit attained by dedicating this aspiration of good action, may all those now drowning in the ocean of suffering reach the supreme rhyme of Amitaha. May this king of aspiration bring about the supreme aim and benefit of all infinite sentient beings. May they perfect what is described in this holy prayer, uttered by Samantabhadra. May the lowest rhyme be entirely empty. Words of truth to accomplish aspiration. Do I need to read that?
Yes, please.
Oh. By the blessing of the Buddhas who have attained the 3 kayas and the unchanging truth of reality, as well as the unwavering aspiration of the Sangha, may all the aspiration and dedication prayer be fulfilled.
Very good. Thank you all very much for that. Does anybody have any questions about any part of that? Any comments about any part of that?
There was something when Rebecca was reading her page.
Okay.
I think that's page 7. The 13 benefits in detail.
Yes.
So, okay, I was just reading like where it says, whoever truly makes this aspiration will never be reborn in lower realms and will be free from harmful companions, and like that, this section here.
Yes.
I don't know, it more like it stuck out. I don't know, like I don't want to overthink it. It just stuck out as she was reading it like that. I don't know. I just wanted to share that.
Do you have a question about it, or are you just commenting that it was that it spoke to you in this way?
It spoke to me. It caught my attention specifically, so that the idea, I guess maybe there's a question, Lance, I'm trying to figure out what it is, but is that it's like if you're doing these good things and your intention is there, that it's a protection from,
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's why this is the king of aspiration prayers, because it goes into such detail and is so comprehensive. You know,
It
there's
really
many
is.
more. There's many
It
more
really is.
prayers, but this is like the summation of all of them.
Okay. Yeah, it really is, because there was like a level of specificity in it, describing even like things that I would think are difficult to conceptualize, but they're described here about how you may be reborn and your family members and such, people that, you know, being born into a good family, like when you're reborn.
Yes, exactly. Yes. And it becomes a like an outline or a syllabus. You know, if there are things that we don't understand, it's defined well enough that we can look things up, that we can do some research to say, oh, I don't understand this particular passage. You know, give me a way to look it up. And it gives you in these blue headings and so on, gives you a way to identify those things. You know,
So Lance, let me ask you then, I'm going to kind of be like, dive into maybe Gary or Ed mode right now. What would people like do this and be like, I'm just going to do these things so I can try to be reborn in like a good family. So ultimately though, it's like your heart, like intention plus action equals the spiritual impact, right? Because I see, like, I've had this conversation before in this group where I talk about empty actions, where people just do it because they're attached to some aspect of the outcome, like recognition or something. So kind of like, you can't really bullshit is what I'm trying to say. Like in this way, like it really has to be fully heartful coming outward from you in the actions you're taking.
yes.
Okay. It's just more of an intellectual question, I guess, is like, I think about people who may come across this and like really think about, like you just said, it's a syllabus, and like for their own misintention or misuse of it, like start behaving in ways that are not really from in out.
Well, I would look at it that it's a step in the right direction.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Yeah. So even if their motivation is not there, they're not the proper motivation or the proper understanding of what the passages are about, at least they're moving in that direction, you know, and it says here in the prayer a couple different times, it says, whoever hears this prayer, you know, will not be born in the lower realms. Whoever takes this to heart will not be born in the lower realms. Whoever takes this to heart will have a good family and so on. So what it means is that you're recognizing that spirituality within yourself, that Buddha nature, that bodhisattva aspiration. And because you recognize that, you start working towards that, you can't help but become a good person, do good actions and so on. So it is a protection.
Hey, Lance, have you ever read this for anyone that you felt should listen to? Like, is like,
This is something that we read when somebody passes away.
But could you, like, for example, if I had someone that I felt was very spiritually inclined, but you're saying you should find this organically on your journey coming to
Well,
this.
no, I mean, if you got somebody that you want to introduce to this, sure, that's great. And this prayer is meant for everyone. So if you want to give them a copy of it, that's perfectly fine. If you want, you know, someone to read it, if you want me to read it for them in their presence, I'll be happy to do that. You know, or I'm sure many of the people here tonight would be happy to do that. And that's part of being Sangha, to do that. But this prayer is meant for everybody. And like I said, when somebody passes away and we go through these different prayers that we would recite for them to kind of guide them through their passage as they are leaving their physical body, and that they come into a new body and so on like that, that we read this at the stage when they're coming into a new body. So that the body that they come into will be a body that will facilitate all these good actions, this king of aspiration prayers.
Thank you for allowing me to discuss that a little bit more.
Sure. Yeah.
And I finally was able to find and download it. So it was great to hear. It's very inspirational, indeed, aspirational and inspirational.
Good.
And but the only one passage so far I have, I'm not sure I clearly understand that, which says having, or it's page 9 at the top, dedication towards serving others.
Yes.
And it reads, having received the prophecy there, with my billions of emancipations sent out through power of my mind, may I bring enormous benefit to sentient beings in all the 10 directions. So what sort of like billions of emancipations?
Well, another way
we
of
are
using
talking about?
another word for emancipations would be liberations, or would be attainments, you know, of being able to overcome, you know, specific obstructions, obscurations. So we go through many, you know, clearing away of negativity, clearing away of confusion and so on. So that's what it's referring to with my billions of emancipations or liberations of going through all these confusions and clearing them, sent out through the power of my mind, because it's my mind that's processing that. May I bring enormous benefit to sentient beings in all the 10 directions. So may all this happen so that other beings are benefiting. So it's a dedication to help other beings.
So it's talking about whatever like little tiny realizations we have here and there, eventually bring the benefit to other beings.
Correct.
It's not that we saying like we're going to liberate beings, billions of beings,
No,
just wishing it away.
no, we're liberating ourselves one defilement at a time. And
All
we're
right. Yes, we
and we're doing that for
billions
the
of those.
benefit of others.
Thank you. Thank you. That helps.
Okay, good. Thank you. Okay. All right, so then let's go to page number 5. So we left off on letter C at the top, and that's verse number 31 is where we're at. So what we are looking at here in section, I'm going to go back a little bit just to put this in the context, that we are looking at number 11, the aspiration to the different methods for entering into good actions. The aspiration for different methods to entering into good actions. So C here back on page 5, now we're saying, hearing the turning of the wheels of Dharma. So the Buddha and the masters that came after the Buddha are turning the wheels of Dharma, that they are giving teachings. And you know, our life goes around in a circular direction. So we've talked about many times, I've mentioned it as a spiral. And as we get better and better, the spiral going round and round, it gets a little bit tighter. We don't have to cover as much as we progress along, and we rise up along this spiral, getting purer and purer, more understanding, more wisdom, more skillful means, and so on. But we do this in a circular direction by turning the wheels of Dharma. So it says hearing, turning the wheels of Dharma. So this is why we repeat things all the time. You know, we repeat Buddhism 101 over and over again. And all the other teachings that we receive from the lamas are done over and over again. Sometimes the cycle is once or 2 or 3 times a year. Sometimes it might be once a year. Sometimes it might be once every 2 years or every 4 years or something like that. But these teachings are all repeated in the cyclic direction so that we can listen to them, we can bring them in, we can become the embodiment of those teachings, and then we can refine them by the repetition of them. You know, if we don't hear them quite right, we're not practicing quite right, they're repeated over and over again so that we can purify our understanding of those and the practices of those. So it says, with all the power of my mind, may I hear and realize the inexhaustible melody of the teachings spoken by all the Buddhas of past, present, and future as they turn the wheels of Dharma. So this is a beautiful way of saying that the Buddhas are teaching this. And all those who become Buddhas in the process, those who are on the path and they become Buddhas, and they're teaching their disciples who then become Buddhas and so on. So this continues on and on. May I be part of those wheels of turning the Dharma, the teachings, listening, and then actually becoming a teacher ourselves. Then the next one is letter D, which says entering into all the eons. Just as the wisdom of the Buddhas penetrates all future eons, so may I too know them instantly. And in each fraction of a second or each fraction of an instant, may I know all that will ever be in past, present, and future. So as we, yes, Rebecca.
In the second line,
Yes.
what is the referent for them?
The wisdom of all the Buddhas. Just as the wisdom of the Buddhas penetrates the infinite, the future eons. So the wisdom of the Buddhas.
So may I too know the wisdom of the Buddhas?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. And we have it all within ourselves. But you know, our what we're trying to do is to recognize that is blocked up by our defilements. When we remove the defilements, this wisdom begins to come up of its own power, and to be able to recognize that. So the reference here is to time, to the eons. And one of the things that we experience when we have these glimpses of this true nature is the timelessness of this. Time goes away, whether it's yesterday or it's tomorrow or it's right now, it's all the same. Whether it's eons in the past or it's now or it's eons in the future, it's all the same. It's all here now. It's just a matter of our being able to recognize it as being completely part of the true nature, not phenomenal nature. Phenomenal nature is relative and time is relative. But to be able to see beyond that phenomenal nature and see the timelessness of this, that all eons are all the same. So may I know them instantly. And in each fraction of an instant, may I know all there will ever be in past, present, and future. So when we have that moment of clarity, when we have that moment of epiphany, when we have that moment of realization, time just disappears. And along with that is what we might call location, that we realize that we are everywhere simultaneously. So these two things happen spontaneously. This is called spontaneous presence of the clear light, of the clear mind, of the Mahamudra, of the great perfection. So it's saying this aspiration of different methods for good actions. May we hear this. May we be open to this. May we experience this ourselves. So here we are setting the anticipation for this. We're preparing ourselves to recognize it. Then letter E says, seeing all the Buddhas in one instant. In an instant, may I behold all those who are the lions of the human race, the Buddhas of past, present, and future. So here this is saying, now the Buddhas, all the Buddhas are all here now. But again, we don't recognize them. But when we have this moment of epiphany, when we have this moment of deep samadhi, of realization, then we realize that it's all here, it's all the same. And you know one Buddha, you know all the Buddhas. You know the essence of the Buddhas. The essence of the Buddhas is bodhicitta, loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity. You know, so their names may change, the images, their appearances may change, but the only thing that is indicative of is their activities, the way in which those Buddhas, who all have the same nature, are acting, are behaving, are benefiting other beings through their activities. That's what's maybe different, but otherwise they're completely the same. So in an instant, may I behold all those who are the lions of the human race. So remember, all this is a progression of being a human being. The lions of human beings refers to the most courageous, the most fearless, to be able to put themselves on the path, to be able to withstand all the peccadillos of the ego and the psyche and all the temptations that happen to us in this phenomenal nature. May we have the courage to withstand all of that and to be able to move through that. The lions of the human race who then embark on the path of becoming a bodhisattva, an aspiration to be a bodhisattva, and then the perfection of becoming a bodhisattva, and then the perfection of becoming a Buddha. It takes great courage to do that. The Buddhas of the past, present, and future, that we see them all in one instant. They're all here now. And we begin and we recognize that. And we're not seeing with our eyes, we're seeing with our heart mind. So then letter F is entering the sphere of activity of the Buddha. So now we're not just seeing the Buddhas with our heart mind, but now we are entering that sphere of activity that we become a Buddha. We act like a Buddha with our body, speech, and mind. Everything that we do with our body, everything that we do with our speech is, it means our actions. Everything that we do with our speech and actions, and everything we do with our mind is for the enlightenment of beings. So may I always be engaged in the Buddha's way of life and action. Through the power of liberation, we're always realized like an illusion. So this is an important statement. This is very, very, very significant, because we look at, all these activities that we go through on a day-to-day basis, and we want to act like a Buddha. We want to be like a Buddha. We're saying that we want to do that in our life, but we do that through the power of liberation. We're always realized as an illusion, that all these things that we do is all impermanent. All these things we do are temporary. All these things are just contrived, fabricated things that we think we need to do. The Buddha remains very, very peaceful, sitting on the cushion, sitting on the lotus, very peaceful, and just exuding that love, that compassion, that joy, and that equanimity, the bodhicitta, exuding that to all beings. That's what we need to recognize. And then everything else falls into place. There are times when we have to act as human beings. We're still in this realm. We still have to, as they say, we still have to chop wood and carry water. We have to do practical things, but we may not be doing much more than that. We don't have to do the impractical things. We don't have to do the things that are wasting time, the things that are satisfying our ego, or feeding our jealousies, or feeding our pride, or being unaware of what it is we're doing, remaining in a deluded, ignorant state, not being led through the ring through our nose that's leading us into desire, attachments, and not having aversions, not having hatred or anger towards beings or things or ourselves, to be able to overcome those things. Seeing all those things is just illusory, things that we've created for ourselves. The Buddha is in bliss. The Buddha is peaceful. The Buddha does not need to do these things, and we are the Buddha. That's what we need to awaken, is our awareness that we are the Buddha. And as we do that, we become very peaceful, just like the Buddha. We don't have to do so much. So it may take us lifetimes to get there, but we can see changes in this lifetime. If we engage in the path, then every time when that wheel goes around, we're getting closer and closer to recognizing those things. And then as we become more and more stable, we kind of go up a notch on the spiral and so on. So we can do that in this lifetime. We can go up many, many spirals in this lifetime. It's only done if we engage in that. It doesn't happen to us carelessly. It happens with our motivation to put ourselves on that path. So may I always be engaged in the Buddha's way of life and action, in being able to be there to represent enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings, and to teach the ways of how to attain that enlightenment through the Dharma. So then letter G is accomplishing and entering the Pure Lands. On a single atom, may I actually bring about the entire array of pure realms of past, present, and future, and then enter into those pure Buddha realms in each atom and in each and every direction. So each of these Buddhas, countless Buddhas, how many human beings have there been? Countless human beings. Not every human being has come to realize, has perfected their Buddha nature. But many, 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 many have. There's many, many, many Buddhas that are here now, many in the past that are here that we don't recognize, that we don't see them, many that will be in the future, but the future is now. And each of these Buddhas has their own Pure Land. So this Pure Land is a euphemism for your palace. You know, right now you have your own palace, you have your own home. And there you've got all the things that you need. You got your comfortable bed, you got your comfortable chairs, you got the kitchen supplies that you need, you got the furniture you need, you got the car that's in the garage or in the driveway or something. You got all these things you need. You got your clothing, you got your friends, and you got your family. This is like your field of your identity, who you are. This is your field of being an ordinary human being. But what would a field of being a Buddha be like? What would a Buddha field be like? A Buddha field would be filled with all these turnings of the wheels of Dharma. All these Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and Dakinis, all these enlightened beings that we meet along this pathway. These would be those who are in that Buddha field. It's like a palace. It's three-dimensional, you know, as we would see it as human beings. But as the Buddha would see it, it may be multidimensional. It may have 4 dimensions, 5 dimensions. It may have 16 dimensions that we don't see, but yet they're there. We may perceive that there's something there. We may wish that there's something there, but the Buddhas are in reality of that. So it's our aspiration to be in those Buddha fields, to have our own Buddha field, not so much that it's our own, not so much that it's our identity or something like that, but it is just the spontaneous occurrence of the manifestation of the purity of the true nature. So here it says again, on a single atom, may I actually bring about the entire array of pure realms of past, present, and future. On a single atom, that one atom is everything that happens in the macro vision, or the macro happens in the micro. So everything that happens in a small dot is happening in the huge dot, if you want to use that expression. Are y'all familiar with I may not be pronouncing it right, but the Malin-Brot equation? Anybody familiar with that? No. There's a mathematical equation that you can put into a computer, and it takes you into this dimensional space that you see this what do you call it?
Fractals.
Fractals, yes. And the way the fractals all come together is like a paramecium. What do you call that? Amoebas or something like that? And then you go deeper into it, you zoom into that, and then you see that there's a whole other field identical to the one that you had zoomed out. And now you're zooming in and you find there's another field exactly like that. And then you zoom into that and there's more like that, and more like that, and more like that. I use it as my avatar on a couple of my different pages. And so what it's demonstrating is there are these many, many, many dimensions that we don't recognize, that we don't see. And here with the power of the computer, it's able to show this in a way that is, it's mind-blowing. It says, my goodness, is this what's actually happening in our space, in our phenomenal nature? Is this what's happening? And the answer is yes. Everything is here right now. On a single atom, I actually bring about the entire array of pure realms of past, present, and future, and then enter into those pure Buddha realms in each atom and in each and every direction. So every direction. So, is this like a black hole? If we put it in terms of the celestial things that we, that they see with the Hubble, black holes and so on like that. Is this an expression of that? Maybe, who knows? Maybe not. But the point is that there are all these things that are happening that we're just kind of opening ourselves up to, all these possibilities of things and so on. And all these things that we conceptualize are all part of the illusion that these things are real. To be able to let those things go and to go into that which cannot be comprehended by our human mind is what we're really trying to do. That's the Buddha mind. That's our true nature. That's what we're trying to do. That's what we need courage for, because we're afraid when we get to those points, when we do meditation and we're spending, what might be, years in meditation, and maybe not one day after another, in constant meditation, but you're going through this, and then you come to a point where you start questioning your sanity. You start questioning, why am I doing this? What is this? Why, what? I'm giving everything up. I must be nuts. Why am I doing this and everything? But it takes a lion of courage to be able to persevere through that doubt, to be able to pierce through that, to instantly penetrate the reality of our true nature, to be able to get to the mind of the Buddha. And then when we do, then we are able to recognize that all that fear was meaningless. All that fear was self-created, was fabricated by our deluded minds, by our ego, to protect us. Our ego was trying to protect us and created this fear to not go, because the ego is what loses out. So when we come back from that, we come back into our body again, so to speak, from our meditation cushion, we come back, but now we give our ego a job to do. We see it as something that is pliable, something that we control instead of we being controlled by. And now our identity now has a new purpose, now has a new motivation that we are in full control of in a spiritual way. The spiritual body has now been activated. We are now a complete human being. And we may need to refresh that. We may need to refresh it every day. We may have practice every day to refresh it. And maybe every day we don't have that kind of an epiphany every single day, but maybe once a week we do. Maybe once a month we do. Maybe once every couple months we do. But it's so powerful that it lasts us until the next time. And we have to be the lion with that courage to penetrate that fear the first time. Then once it first happens, then you say, oh, now I got it. Now I understand. Oh, it's fading away, but I know the way. I can do it again and again and again. And then it becomes more and more stable. And then you become that way more all the time. You naturally become that. It's your natural self. We're naturally Buddha. We're naturally blissful. We're naturally happy. We're naturally peaceful. That's what we naturally want to be. But we contrive all this stuff that we think is going to make us happy, only that makes us suffering in the end. And this Buddha nature, this pure nature, is indestructible. We talked about, this indestructible wisdom, this indestructible true nature, that it transcends time, it transcends place, it transcends all this phenomenal nature. So this is in each atom, each and every one, in all directions. And we may go, our meditation may be the kind of meditation where we may, be looking at our hand, and we're able to look at our skin, and we're able to look beneath our skin and see tissues there, and get down to the molecular tissue level, and get down to below that to the atomic level, and then get to the subatomic level. And you're realizing that all this is all the same. And then you can see the atmosphere, the space between us is full of stuff. And all that stuff is Buddha. And all that Buddha stuff is surrounded by bodhisattvas, those who are on the path to the perfection of being the Buddha. It sounds crazy. I had to wait all this time to be able to say this to you, because if I said this the first time I met you, you'd run around screaming, say, Lance is out of his mind. But now maybe you can start to have some kind of an appreciation for what it is that we're talking about here. It's something that is transcendent of our human nature. But it's our human nature that is the vehicle that we have to use to get to this. That's why it's such a blessing to have a precious human life. And how many human beings are there that do not have a precious human life? They have a human life, but they are torn apart by their ignorance and by their delusion, by their hatred, and all the emotions and so on like that.
Lance, are you done? Are you done with this particular part of the, I wanted to ask, I wanted to make a quick comment.
Go right ahead.
Yeah, because I've been with you since last, I think, April in these courses. So it's been almost, in October, it'll be 18 months.
Okay.
And I can't believe, I'm like, wow, it's been 18 months of COVID. But what you just said is exactly truth for me. Like you just said, if you had said this to me on April last year, I would have looked at you like, okay, intellectually, I'd be like, okay, cool, Lance. Sounds like a plan, Lance. But what you just said is it's like this thing, and I can see it happening in me in stages. And I have now wisdom recognition to now say, oh, that's different. You're outwardly different, and you're actually okay. And so I want to say, to your point in this discussion, that's happening for me right now. And I don't know if being aware of that is part of other people's journeys, where you're actively become so in tune with what's happening at a spiritual
That's exactly
level.
right. Yes, you become
Okay.
aware of your awareness.
Okay, so that's I feel like I'm excited to talk about it, but I'm not going to talk about it like you just said, I'm not going to go to someone on the street or even my mom and dad and be like, guess what? I think my spirit is waking up. I think the inside of my body is waking up and I'm feeling something different, because they'll look at me a little bit cross-eyed. But I feel like that's happening right now for me in the last, I'm going through this in phases, slowly, like you described. And like I said, 6 weeks ago, I started waking up. My mind starts going now to the 4 thoughts that turn your mind to the Dharma. It just happens now. I don't have to force it. It's just it's happening. So I wanted to just make that comment for anyone else who may be not, I just want to say that's happening for me right now. And if I'm able just to share that openly with you all in this group of support and love, I believe that's happening for me right now. And it's exciting.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That's
and
wonderful.
I wanted to ask a separate question. In the beginning, you asked each of us about our thoughts on Bodhisattva. And is that part of it, is being willing to accept that, like we may be, that is within us, like being able to be comfortable saying, yes, that is my journey. That's a goal that I want. Is that part of this process, by being okay with saying, yes, that is something
Certainly.
for me? Okay.
Certainly.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, otherwise we're just wandering, with aimlessly.
Okay. So when you
Maybe-
asked the question, it wasn't about testing our ego. It was about asking, like, could we really see ourselves in that? And are we comfortable with that? Like, it wasn't about an ego check or pride check.
No, not at all. It was to be able to, get you to think about it, to excite your own critical thinking about what it is that we're doing. See that there is a process here in place, and every now and again to come back and restate that in terms now that maybe you couldn't have fathomed before, but now maybe you've heard enough that now you can start putting some things together and so on.
Okay. Thank you. That was all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. No, yeah. Okay, so we don't have much time. Let me see what time it is. So here, yes, I can finish this last one here is letter number H. So this is entering into the presence of the Buddhas, entering into the presence of the Buddhas. When those who illuminate the world still to come gradually attain Buddhahood, turn the wheel of Dharma, and demonstrate the final profound peace of nirvana, may I always be in their presence. So right now we're in the midst of many beings who are on the path to become bodhisattva, who are on the path to become Buddha. And we may not recognize them as that, but we regard everybody as being the potential of that. And as such, we don't want to harm them in any way. We don't want to stand in their way. We want to be able to facilitate them, and we want to be joyful for them, and to be joyful for us that we are in their midst. And see that maybe we are somewhere on that path ourselves. So that when those who illuminate the world still to come, so those future Buddhas, those future spiritual ones, gradually attain Buddhahood and turn the wheel of Dharma, when they're turning their own wheel, when they're discovering these things on their own, and they're receiving the teachings and so on, but they're also now, they're incorporating those teachings into their contemplations, into their meditations, and into their practices. It's not just something idle that they're standing by and just waiting for all this to wash over them and to have this transformation come. Doesn't happen that way, that they actualize it, that they engage that, and they become that. They become the wheel of Dharma. Gradually attain Buddhahood, turn the wheel of Dharma, and demonstrate the final profound peace of nirvana. May I always be in their presence, and demonstrate the final profound peace of nirvana. So we talk about it all the time. We're in the ocean of suffering, samsara. But then we have glimpses of our being transcendent of that samsara and being in what we would call nirvana, this temporariness of being in this blissful state, of being out of the ocean, not being in this suffering and so on. This profound peace of nirvana. So, and as this comes, as we're doing that as bodhisattva. We're doing that as bodhisattva. And as bodhisattva, we're still human beings. So we can still, fall backwards, there's still levels of being a bodhisattva and so on. So I'm talking in a very broad sense of bodhisattva. But as we get closer and closer to perfection, to being Buddha, then the chances of our falling backward become nil. It's not going to happen because we purified at that point and so on. So we become that profound peace of nirvana. And then finally, we have what they recall as the parinirvana. The parinirvana is where the physical body and the intellectual body, which are tied together, they are gone. And now all it becomes is pure spirit, pure heart mind. And that's where the true nature, that's the parinirvana, to become a Buddha in that way. Now, that can happen while you still have a body. But of course, that takes a very accomplished person, a very devoted person, someone who has worked many, many lifetimes to attain that. And Buddha Shakyamuni, if you remember the story of Buddha Shakyamuni, was able to attain that, and many other beings and so on. So, but nevertheless, we work towards that. So we say, may I always be in their presence of these holy ones, of these sacred ones, of these magnificent ones, of these Buddhas, that I am a potential Buddha. I am a potential bodhisattva. I am on the path to do that. So all this for tonight was the aspiration of the different methods for entering into good action. So these are the methods that we were just going through, engaging in good actions, in Buddha conduct, and Buddha awareness, and bodhisattva awareness, seeing the stages, seeing the levels of this. So thank you very much.
Thank
Does
you.
anybody have any final comments? I know it's almost time. We have to do our dedications.
I really enjoyed tonight, Lance. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you very much, Sarah, and everybody else.
You were on a roll there.
I beg your pardon?
You were on a roll there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was great to hear those expounding on the process of liberation, so to speak.
No, it's just
Not
we all,
often hear
we
that.
all share in the body, speech, and mind. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So, Tom, if you've got your book handy, would you do a short dedication, please? And we can maybe do the Dekorma prayer and do the dedication prayer by Jigden Sumgren. I think we'll have time for that, please.
Yes, of course. By the virtues collected in the three times, by myself and all beings in samsara nirvana, and by the innate root of virtue, may I and all sentient beings quickly attain unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious enlightenment.
We're on page 21 in our book, page 21.
May the teachings of the great Drikungpa Retnat Shri, who is omniscient, Lord of the Dharma, master of interdependence, continue and increase through study, practice, contemplation, and meditation until the end of samsara. Glorious, holy, venerable, precious, kind root and lineage lamas, divine assemblies of yidams and assemblies of Buddhas, bodhisattvas, yogins, yoginis, and dakinis, dwelling in the 10 directions, please hear my prayer. May the virtues collected in the three times by myself and all sentient beings in samsara and nirvana, and the innate root of virtue, not result in the 8 worldly concerns, the 4 causes of samsara, or a birth of the Shravatka or Pratyeka Buddha. May all mother sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me and mine, obstructors who harm, misleading Maras, and the hordes of demons, experience happiness, be separated from suffering, and swiftly attain unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious Buddhahood. By the power of this vast root of virtue, may I benefit all beings through my body, speech, and mind. May the afflictions of desire, hatred, ignorance, arrogance, and jealousy not arise in my mind. May attachments to fame, reputation, wealth, honor, and concern for this life not arise for even a moment. May my mind stream be moistened by loving kindness, compassion, and bodhicitta, And through that, may I become a spiritual master with good qualities, equal to the infinity of space. May I gain the supreme attainment of Mahamudra in this very life. May the torment of suffering not arise, even at the time of my death. May I not die with negative thoughts. May I not die confused by wrong view. May I not experience an untimely death. May I die joyfully and happily in the great luminosity of the mind as such and the pervading clarity of Dharmata. May I, in any case, gain the supreme attainment of Mahamudra at the time of death or in the bardos. Om Ahum. Om Ahum. Om Ahum. And my body, speech, and mind become inseparable with the body, speech, and mind of all the enlightened ones.
Very good. Thank you all very much for joining us tonight. Look forward to seeing you next week. And if you can, continue reading this on your own.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lance.
You're welcome.
Thank
Good
you.
night, everyone.
Good
Good
night,
night.
everybody.
Night.
Bye.
Thank you, Lance. Thank
You're
you all.
welcome. Thank you, Alex, for joining us.
My pleasure.
I hope you can do it more often. Okay. All right. Good night.
Hey, good night, brother. That was a
Thank you.
great class tonight.
Yeah, thank you.
It was really,
Well,
great.
it's a great prayer.
Oh, it is. It can't be explained with just regular, with our mortal words. It's beyond. It is beyond, and you're doing a wonderful job.
Thank you so much.
Exposing everyone to this. This is a opportunity of their lifetimes. Really, it is.
Thank you. Yes.
It is.
All right. Well, I'm not sure. I don't think I'm going to come down this week, but maybe
No,
I
I don't-
will Thursday, Friday. But I think not. I think it'd be wise to not.
Maybe
do it.
next week. Maybe next week.
Next week. Yeah. When they're scraping up the ashes and everything. The bodies,
I
picking up
hear
the
ya.
bodies and the ashes.
Jeez. Man, yeah, it is. It sounds like a third world country, huh?
Oh my God. Is it really?
A banana republic.
The
Huh?
Banana Republic. It's like Panama, when they went after, what was his name?
Noriega?
Noriega.
Yeah.
Jeez whiz.
Yeah.
I hope nobody gets killed, man,
Oh, man.
because that's just going to put a terrible spin on it. A terrible spin downward, Hope nobody dies.
Yeah. Now, imagine how other countries are looking at us. It's like, oh, man, we used to be the model of democracy, but yeah, it got really ugly real quick.
All right, bro.
Hey, brother. Hey, thanks again, huh?
Talk to you soon.
Good night.
All right. Good night. Thank you.
Mhm.